Hello, my beautiful fragrance family. Dustin here, fragrance fan. Go ahead and do me a solid and click that like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell notification. And I'm just going to keep on bringing you guys these budget-friendly fragrance reviews. That $40-ish and under dollar range. Most of these way less than that. And a good number of these you can find at your local rack stores. Got 5 of them for you guys here today. And 4 of these 5 you can easily find at your rack stores. Only one of them you might have to order online. And I decided to come up with this list because there's just some fragrances that completely get overlooked. They never get talked about, but they're definitely worthy of being talked about. And these 5 I think are just like perfect for a date night. Perfect if you just want to get close to your girlfriend or your wife or whatever, watching a movie on the couch and you want something that she's really going to enjoy smelling. Maybe you want to get her to snuggle a little more or something like that. These 5, I think, will do a great job at that. Now, granted, not every fragrance is for everybody. That's true with anything, and especially in a subjective game like the fragrance game. But 98 out of 100 times, these ones will do the job pretty well. So, in no particular order, let's go ahead and kickstart things off with Stand Fogg's Pistachio Dream. This thing smells a whole lot like Kylie's Yum Pistachio, and I mean a lot like it. In fact, the only difference that I could detect, I don't own that one, but I'm pretty familiar with it, is that one has a bit of a crispy citrus thing in the beginning. This doesn't really have so much of that. It does have a sparkle, but it doesn't have any of that crispy citrus thing, but it holds true to all that very meaty almond, pistachio, vanilla, whipped cream, marshmallow, sugar, brown sugar kind of a thing. It's very sweet. It's very creamy. It's very nutty. There's a lot more. I feel like there's a little more almond than there is pistachio, but the pistachio does set this apart a little bit from a lot of the nutty fragrances. And basically that's what's going on in this thing. I think it'll work okay for a nice summer night, but it'll also do good in the cooler weather because it's so sweet. The performance on this is pretty good. In fact, I've never wore this thing to where the whole life expectancy was gone because I've always tried it later on in the day, but even after a shower, it's a roll-on, by the way. I like the roll-ons better than the dipstick. That's just me personally, but this is one of the little roll-on things, and do a couple rolls, you know, if you're doing a date night thing, on the pulse points on your neck type deal, and maybe whatever arm you're planning on, like, you know, putting around her shoulder or something. This is a very delightful unisex, a little bit more feminine. Granted, it probably is a little bit more feminine, but for mature men that are into fragrances, and maybe even for the common Joe, this thing is just a pleasant smelling fragrance, and I think it works great for a date night. Again, it's very nutty, creamy, sweet, sugary, whipped cream kind of a thing, and loads of like almond and pistachio meat. Up next, one that I mentioned a few times recently, because I got it recently, and I just kind of can't get enough of this thing, and that is Royalty Maluma, or Royalty by Maluma, Onyx, whatever it's called. But there's the detailing on the atomizer cap, and basically this is a sweet pear, cardamom, cinnamon, vanilla, patchouli kind of thing. Loads of smooth cinnamon. It's not like that spicy kind that almost gets hot. It's a warm spicy, but it's not like a burning hot, like a red hot or something like that. Smooth cinnamon, vanilla, smells almost 1-to-1 to Paco Rabanne's Privé, which can't really find anymore, not readily available anyhow. And this is like $25. The performance is average. It's basically 1 Million Privé toned down, a date night version of that, because it's toned down. It's got the warm, spicy, sweet vanilla, cinnamon, cardamom. That pear up in the top really is cool with the cinnamon. That cinnamon pear combination I think is really cool. There's like plum wood too, but yeah, another one, cheap $25 for something that smells almost identical to 1 Million Privé, but just a toned down version, and the quality is pretty good on this one too. It is a delicious fragrance, and I scored this thing high. I think I gave it an 8 out of 10, and it's an average performance fragrance. Cool weather, fall, type of a thing. Not loud enough for the winter, but a cool summer night. A lot of you guys experience cool summer nights in Florida. It's just humid. But for those northern states in the summer, spring, fall, whatever, this thing's gonna do really good. That cinnamon pear vanilla combination is gorgeous in that one. So another one that I mentioned a while back in a review and I talked very highly about, and its brother, the blue one, I speak very highly of. But right now we're talking about Afan's Taro Brown. It smells a lot like Rocha's Mustache. It's vanilla patchouli, spicy, real creamy, rich, smooth vanilla with that patchouli spicy combination. Man, this thing is like just a melty, smooth, I can't say it enough, it's so smooth. It's spicy, but it's so smooth, rich, creamy vanilla patchouli combination. It's beautiful. It's awesome for a date night. The opening is a little bit different than the dry down, but it still stays rich and just kind of gourmandy. And the performance is good on this, but it doesn't project really far. It does project, so if you're doing a date night with this, I would say 2 sprays maximum, because it's gonna hang on for a good amount of time. I think all of these have vanilla in them, to be honest. There's something about vanilla and women and a date night, vanilla in a fragrance, but this one has that vanilla patchouli combination, kind of like YSL's Tuxedo or Milestone's Taxco, but less patchouli, more vanilla, spicy forward than those. Afan Taro Brown, extremely beautiful fragrance. Beautiful fragrance. I'm going to keep saying that. It's beautiful. So check this one out if you haven't already. If you're looking for something that's just creamy, rich, gourmandy, spicy vanilla patchouli, this might be your ticket right here. It's a wonderful fragrance. Up next, one that I just don't ever see get talked about. I think for whatever reason, this line in general doesn't get talked about, and they make some pretty good ones in this line. In fact, none of them that I've smelled are particularly bad, but this one might be my favorite one in the whole lineup. And I'm talking about Kenneth Cole's Copper Black. It is a sweet, juicy green apple ginger opening, and the spicy booziness gives it kind of like a hint of like a warm Crown and Coke mix. It's got like a smooth, sweet vanilla. This thing, when I first smelled it, I thought it was okay. And then when I gave it a full wearing, I said, all right, this is way more than okay. This is a beautiful smelling fragrance. In the same ballpark as Mont Blanc Legend Night. I think that's what it's called. Legend Night. I'll put it right there. It's in the same ballpark as that, but it's smoother. Much smoother, and if I remember correctly, I don't own that one. I've worn it a couple times. This one, it's just not as abrasive. It's not as playful, if you will. It's sexy, but it's not as playful, if that makes any kind of sense. Again, I love the boozy combination of this thing with the, there's the label. With that, there's like whiskey and there's spiciness, but to me it gives almost like a hint of a Crown and Coke vibe, just a little bit, along with that sweet, juicy green apple ginger combination. The ginger gives it a sparkly pop up top, but it's more green apple, the tart, sweet green apple thing at the same time. It's not real loud, and the performance isn't stellar, but it's rated average. So that makes it kind of a good date night fragrance because you don't really have to worry about overspraying too much. And you can find this thing for like $20 all the time at the rack. So I think I got this one, this little one. Goodness, $15 or something like that because it was a little one. So I decided to pick it up. It could have been 20, but I think it was like $15. And I'm glad that I picked it up because, man, it really does it for me as far as that goes. And up next, another Kenneth Cole, overlooked once again, Mankind Hero, you see it at the rack stores all the time. It's got this really cool spicy lemon vanilla introduction with some soft lavender. There's like a aromatic thing. There's like, I think, mountain breeze notes or something like that. A little bit of clary sage. But for the most part, it's this spicy lemon vanilla combination, and it holds on to that for most of the fragrance life. Both of these perform about the same. They're right on that average level. They don't ever really they turn into a skin scent, but for the most part, they give you a nice little scent bubble for a few hours, 4 or 5 hours, and then they just kind of disappear, which is kind of cool. It doesn't just reel back and then it's a skin scent for 5 hours. No, it's not one of those. It stays pretty true for a nice scent bubble for a little while. And this one's a little bit more versatile than some of the other ones because this one isn't as sweet, it's not as rich or thick and creamy. It's airy, it's got that zesty lemon thing, so it makes it a little bit more appropriate for a summer night, date night fragrance. So this one is a good one for Florida, I would have to say, but just not in the daytime. These are all nighttime fragrances, obviously. This one will work in the day pretty good. But the rest of these are pretty much strictly nighttime. This one will work okay in the day, but I say nighttime as well. Spicy lemon vanilla, lavender, airy, really, really nice smelling fragrance. So those are 5 fragrances that if you see in the rack stores and you're itching to buy something that has that vanilla, that's what this could have been titled, 5 vanilla fragrances that aren't, talked about very much. They have that vanilla, spicy thing, just beautiful, scrumptious, warm, inviting, draw you in, sexy kind of fragrances. These are 5 that aren't going to break the bank, that are more than likely going to really please your spouse and yourself because they smell great. They smell fantastic in my opinion, and I think that's pretty universal for women as well. So that's my final thoughts on 5 underrated, untalked about date night fragrances. With that, I'm out. Y'all be blessed. Take care of yourself always, and until next time.